the Detroit Lions and Sheila Hamp for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Let's tell the people today, who's winning this game?
The Tigers!
Can you guys give me your best Detroit Tiger roar? Hey, you got to participate too. Where's your roar?
What up, though, people? Welcome to Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for kicking off your morning with the crew. We got Mr. Flannel Sam in the building, Broder, Mr. JB Smooth, and we got Stick as well. We are live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. Let's go. Hey, look, guys, look, we have no reads today. Stick is in the building. Everything is going to be off the cuff, but I do know one thing about this place. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. Broder and I are a little bit sad this morning because it looks like they sold our vets.
Yeah, come on.
Hey, look, I'm telling you guys, they're flying off the shelves. Get down here, get you guys a Chevy from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. How you feeling this morning?
You know, I was feeling good, but then looking back at that interview that you did on opening day, it just reminds me of better times for the Tigers.
Better times. Listen, guys, it's Tigers.
It was a fun day. It was a hell of a day. It's just I never would have envisioned, and we're going to get into it a little bit more. I would have never envisioned a 3-game losing streak after that, after how electric Friday was, having a couple games against the A's. But like I said, we'll get into it a little bit more as time goes along.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, from our opening day festivities from the Opera House, the Grand Slam Fest, it was awesome. Yep. So today we're going to just take the time, each segment, to kind of bring up one of those videos so we can remember better days, like you said.
Yep.
Yeah. It's Broder.
Yo.
How are you feeling this morning? And then tell people what we're talking about today.
Oh, I'm feeling great. We're at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. We got a great show planned. We're going to be talking about the Red Wings. We're going to be talking about that national championship, the battle of the big men. Zach Edey, his last college game. What's he going to be like in the NBA? We'll see. We got to touch on those Tigers. What's going on? What is this offense doing? Do they have hope? Is there anything we can look at in this offense to have a successful season? And in the second half of the show, we're going to hit some Lions. We got some scenarios for you, some draft scenarios. Got some not would you rather, but which group of the Lions offense will you pin against another NFC North, not NFC North, but NFC rival? We got a lot to cover today, but I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Ready to go, too. And chat family, as always, you guys are a very, very big and important part of this show. Smash that like button, and after you do, encourage somebody else to do the same. But let's get around the city. As we already alluded to, the Detroit Tigers lost 7-4 to the Pittsburgh Pirates on Monday night. And Flannel, you look very uneasy right now.
Well, it's baseball. You're going to lose some games. The Pirates are a good team. To me, that kind of furthers why it was so important, at least for me as a fan, and I think the Tigers would tell you as well, to at least take 2 out of 3 from the A's, because your schedule does get tougher. It doesn't get easier. You got another one against Pittsburgh. Then you got 4 at home against Minnesota and 4 at home against the Rangers. A nice 7-2 start would have given you a buffer to where you could slip a little bit and still end up with a over 500 month of April. But alas, that did not happen. But I will say this. They play early on this afternoon. They play at 12:35. If the Tigers can get this one today, I will feel a lot better, because that's the old adage. When you play series on the road, you want to split on the road. And if they take 1 out of 2 from Pittsburgh, that's a win.
Is Pittsburgh, is their stadium one of the most beautiful ballparks?
It's beautiful.
In the world, maybe?
Yeah.
I love that backdrop.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Tigers' offense struggled again. Reese Olson didn't have his best game. We'll dig into the game at 8:45. But the troubling thing to me was that once the Pirates scored their 3 runs in the bottom of the second inning, it felt like the game was over. It was 3-1 at that point, and you almost had no hope that offense was going to be able to get back in the game. Reese Olson, he wasn't his sharpest self, and that's just not a good pairing for this young Tigers team that needs to find ways to win. They couldn't do it being down 7-2.
Yeah, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more. One of the questions I want us to remember for that segment is obviously we expected a slow start for the Bats, But do you believe they will figure it out? And out of the people who are struggling right now, obviously there are some there are some names that we expect will get it done. But who are some of the guys that you believe will have to step up and probably will step up for this Tigers offense to get going? So we'll talk about that today, I believe, in our third segment of the day. The Pistons, their next game is tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. Some people might have seen already on social media that they were at WrestleMania, living JB's dream. Shout out to Kay Cunningham. I saw him out there as well. I believe one of the Pistons, like equipment managers as well from Oakland. He used to go to Oakland as well. He was out there with them. Hopefully, the highlight of their time being in Philly can be a win and not WrestleMania. You got nothing?
Good luck. Good luck. That is all I will say to that. That's all I will say to that. I'm glad you guys had fun at WrestleMania. But
you were about to congratulate them?
It's just been such a miserable season. My goodness.
It's like, yo, at least y'all had some fun.
Hey, at least everyone had fun.
Oh, my gosh. Yo, they got to see The Undertaker, right?
Yeah.
But, hey, look, the Red Wings, their next game is tonight against the Washington Capitals. Flannel.
Yes.
How are you feeling about these Red Wings? I was talking about it yesterday. Like, Flannel told me that they were going to find themselves back in this position. Flannel said he sees them making these playoffs. They took hold of this wild card spot. How you feeling, man?
I'll say this, and I know we're going to get into the Red Wings a little bit more in depth in the next segment. I believe if the Red Wings win tonight, I'm guaranteeing the playoffs.
Ooh.
That's how big of a win that would be. At that point, you would be, I wouldn't say officially, but for all intents and purposes, you would have vanquished the Washington Capitals. It was that proverbial 4-point game where you get points and they don't. Well, which means hopefully the Red Wings were to beat them in regulation. I'll give that caveat. If the Red Wings win tonight in regulation, they will make the playoffs. Like I said before, everything is all out in front of them, despite that horrible month of March. They had a 7-game stretch where I said they need to go 5-2, and at the absolute worst, 4-2-1, and then I'll pretty much live with those results if they can finish the season like that. They're right on schedule right now. They got that big win against Buffalo after dropping a tough one to one of the best teams in the NHL in New York. So they got to go win tonight. Conversely, though, if they lose, it's a must win. I understand that if they lose, they're not technically completely out of it. It is a absolute must-win. The most must-win game of the season up to this point. No doubt about it.
Flannel, I got one question from AJM. Are you guaranteeing a victory?
Yes.
Oh, let's go.
Yes.
Let's go. What a start to the Tuesday morning, man. It must be Feldman, man.
Yeah. Ooh, good old Feldman.
It must be. But, hey, look, the Lions – per Alex Ballantyne, Bleacher Report NFL Insider, the Lions are rumors of a 4-year, $115 million contract extension for Amon-Ra. Hey, you already know we got to get our Lions credential beat writer and reporter involved on this. Hey, talk to me about this.
Yeah, so this is just a rumor, although it's from Alex Ballantyne, a Bleacher Report. What we were thinking before, the rumor about 2 weeks ago when the contract extension conversation started heating up was it was going to be like a 4-year, $100 million contract. $25 million a year for Amon-Ra St. Brown. This new one bumps it up to $115, so we're itching closer to $30 million a year for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So there will be a time to have a more in-depth conversation, but I got to ask you guys, is there a point where it gets too much? Is 30 a year too much for Amon-Ra St. Brown, or is this the man you just give a blank check to?
I wonder how much the cap space kind of going up also factored into this as well. With that, I do want to make sure that that's something that I consider. But with Amon-Ra, if he is the culture guy, if he is the fit guy, as well as, to Flannel's points, performing on the field and being one of those number one guys the Detroit Lions can count on, hopefully they actually go to him in the third quarters. Hopefully. Gosh, it still hurts, bro.
That's okay.
It still hurts. But if he's one of those guys and he can continue to find himself in the top 5, I am okay with it, man. It's one of our homegrown drafted players.
I mean, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't want to say absolute blank check, give him everything that he wants, but within reason. Anything under 30, and I can't complain about that because he's earned it. because I see no indication that he's going to slow down. He strikes everyone as a hardworking guy, a guy who just continues to want to get better at his craft. He's got great synergy with Jared Goff. He's got another year of Ben Johnson. I wouldn't be surprised if his numbers get even better next year. So, yes, if he continues on this trajectory, he is definitely worth 4 years, $115 million. There aren't too many receivers in the NFL, if any, that are more important to their team than Amon-Ra St. Brown is to the Detroit Lions. And while I'm thinking of it off the top of my head, he might be the most important in terms of to their team of any wide receiver in the NFL.
And you talk about
not a hot take.
You talk about the message that sends to the rest of the team too. Like that, Amon-Ra St. Brown's the first year of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, drafted in the 4th round. So because he's gotten so good, you got to address that before Penei Sewell, who gets a 5-year contract as a rookie. So what this does, you're setting the precedence for every person you draft, every player you draft, every free agent you bring in, that this is what we expect out of our players, and you'll get paid the most money if you do what he does.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great testament, and it's something that they also said. It's something about this Detroit Lions organization now calling their shots and actually following through and putting themselves in a position to follow through. They're not just saying where they want to be. With the Detroit Pistons, we understand that they wanted to restore to something. They wanted to be able to kind of restore the fabric of what the bad boys and the going-to-work Pistons were. But to this point, they haven't necessarily shown that they have the capability to do so. With these Detroit Lions, we're seeing them say, hey, within 3 years, you guys are going to see that we are contenders.
Sure.
They did that. They called their shot. They called it. They also stated that they wanted to be able to draft impact players year after year. They've done that. We see that now the foundation of this team are players that they've drafted to the point that they can go and sprinkle in the right types of vets around them. And then now they're saying that they want to be able to make sure they take care of those guys that they've drafted. And so, in my opinion, this is more along the lines of them calling their shot and coming through. It's a foundation within this organization that we heard people like Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson from the outside looking in saying, you know what, those are people that I want to play with. This is a completely different time as it relates to the Detroit Lions organization. With this new front office and the coaches and even the players now who've completely bought in to the point that you can believe in what they're doing because they're doing what they are saying. They are accomplishing what they're saying that they're setting out to accomplish. So it's a good thing.
It is a great thing, and I just want to respond to Eduardo O'Neill in the chat really quick because we go back and forth. He's one of the most valuable members. He says, after I said there might not be any receiver more important to their team than Amon-Ra St. Brown, he brings up Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. And here's the thing. I love all of those guys. I'm not even saying that Amon-Ra in a vacuum is better than them.
Right.
But if you just look at even what they had last year, you take Tyreek Hill off of the Dolphins, they had Jalen Waddle. You take Jamar Chase off of the Bengals, they had T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, although Tyler Boyd's not there anymore. If you took Justin Jefferson off, you had Justin Jefferson off for a lot of the year. You still had Jordan Addison and T.J. Hockenson, and the Vikings were actually winning some games. I'm not trying to disrespect these guys. What I'm saying is that it might be different this year, and obviously you have to take into account Sam Laporta, who's quickly becoming one of the best tight ends in the NFL. But as far as wide receiver production for the last couple of years, it's been Amon-Ra St. Brown, a cliff, then like Josh Reynolds. And like I said,
a cliff.
Sam Laporta is important, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, when it comes to wide receivers, we don't even know right now if he has a number 2. We think it could be J-Mo, but we don't know that yet. That's kind of what I mean when it comes to Amon-Ra St. Brown's importance. Not that he's necessarily better than these guys, but he's in that room, he's in that tier, or he's at least at the top of the second tier. I would probably go end of the first tier.
And I love his versatility as well.
Yeah.
I love his toughness. I love the fact that they can throw it to him when he's being double covered. I like the fact that they can throw it to him when he has a blanket corner on him. I like the fact that they can put him in run packages where they can put him in a position to get the reverses and such. I like all of that about him, but even more so when you're doing that out there on the field. It's really a testament, in my opinion, with specifically to Amon-Ra St. Brown of what this man has done to prepare to be there. When you know you have a guy that's going to do everything in his power to be great, and you see those results on the field, you have to be able to show everybody else on your team that this stuff will be rewarded.
Oh yeah, yep. And there's going to be more. Amon-Ra St. Brown is just the first, because just from that 2021 draft alone, you got yourself 2 first-team All-Pros.
Hey,
that's amazing.
And before we get into this next segment, hey, people, put in the chat what you guys think of this Amon-Ra St. Brown deal. Is it too much? Is it too little? What would you do? What should the Detroit Lions do? Are there any quick ones you want to read real quick, brother?
I do, from Dante151. He actually gave us a super chat. Shout out to you, Dante. You are the man. St. Brown is the Lions version of Cooper Kupp from the LA Rams. And you know how good Cooper Kupp is for the LA Rams. Pay St. Brown his money.
Hey, that man is money. I think we're all, at least on this show, in agreement with that. JB, you paying him that money?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely in agreement with it. He basically just has a blank check. Pretty much whatever you want to pay him, just pay him. Pay that man his money. That's it.
Hey, I'm on board with it. I'm on board with it. And I think that if you pay Amon-Ra St. Brown, everything else is going to work out.
Absolutely. Hey, and if you want to get a nice workout in, you go to Planet Fitness, of course, where memberships start at only $10 a month, or you can get the black card for $24.99 per month. We've done a couple shows from there. They've got all of the workout amenities that you want, treadmills, weights. They've got a section where you can do a 30-minute workout, pretty much every single thing that you could want at the greatest price. Go to Planet Fitness today, get a membership, get back in shape. Summer is coming up. You definitely want to get that summer body going, and you go to Planet Fitness for that. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Buying your first Feldman Chevrolet is much more than buying the car that will get you from point A to point B. It's a place for first memories, some big, some small. As she grows, you're not just buying her a Chevy, you're buying into a Feldman family. With more than 700,000 vehicles sold, from generation to generation, Feldman just keeps rolling.
Congratulations to the real Coach of the Year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports. You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard.
Corner, jumper,
Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Glorious Cannabis, Bubble Hash Pre-Roll, THC with diamonds. It's a gassy, aggressive strain. To get back to the old times, Glorious Cannabis, it's a great way to get your cannabis. If you partake, you should definitely get into some Glorious. I believe they sell some at a Dispo dispensary, so get your Glorious Cannabis, Bubble Hash Pre-Roll, THC diamonds today.
Hey, what up, though, people? Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. Thank you guys for kicking off your day with us. We are live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. And you guys know what? We have none of our paper reads today. So we're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, man. It's in flannel so far. The first two reads, he is crushing it. I don't know, man. Like, keep the two-shot going. It's something about the flannel that he has on and this kind of dealer of the year hanging over his head. That's just a little Breaking Bad for me today this morning, man.
Ooh, wow.
He's crushing.
Well, I'll be honest, that Glorious read was a little tough. I kind of combined a couple, an old one and a new one, but you got to do what you got to do. The Planet Fitness one, Stick, our very own Sam Stick Day, he instilled the confidence in me that I could just talk about Planet Fitness and didn't have to go off script, and I'm okay with how I did with that one. But the Glorious one was a little. I got a little stage fright. I'll just say that, where I'm like, oh, what do I say?
No, man, you were dealing. Man. I love it.
You're winging it like it's Soroki's crispy chicken and pizza.
Hey, more on that later.
Hey, what a dunk. You see him? You saw his?
Yeah.
And that's appropriate, man, because we got to talk about the national championship, men's basketball national championship. We have to give that some attention. UConn beat Purdue 75-60. Honestly, the spread of that game and kind of the way it went, It was a little shocking to me because Zach Edey has absolutely dominated this this tournament. March Madness. Being there live in person and seeing this man put up 40 and 17 against Tennessee, who I thought had a pretty good game plan against him, was just absolutely like, wow, it's amazing. And then he gets to this next game against UConn, or gets to the finals against UConn after, an amazing game against DJ Burns, and it's like nobody can keep him in check. Even UConn, they had a hard time keeping Zach Edey in check, but it didn't matter. Yeah. And it's kind of a side quest to this topic, because I know we're going to talk about the game itself, is seeing Zach Edey kind of kept in check. I know there's a lot of Detroit Pistons fans. A lot of them say they don't want him. There's some who said they do want him in this draft. The Pistons are going to have their pick if they keep this thing of a lot of different players, even at number 5, that have performed really well in this tournament time. It was interesting to see his team lose despite the fact he had that big of a game.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why Purdue lost despite Zach Edey putting up 37. First off, I know a lot of people don't like Zach Edey. I know a lot of people clown him. Like, he gets all the calls. He gets away with everything. He doesn't have that many basketball skills. But I'll tell you what about him, about Zach Edey. He earned my respect this tournament. I'm not saying that I disrespected him before, but the reality is last season when Purdue took the L as a 1 seed against a 16, it wasn't his fault. But when you're a 7-4 monster playing on the number 1 seed team and you lose to a 16 seed team, you're going to get all of the flack, and I can't even kill you for it. But what Purdue and Zach Edey did this year was they got to the finals. They slayed a lot of tournament demons. They got to a Final Four. Zach Edey was absolutely dominant throughout the tournament. And furthermore, I don't want to hear any Zach Edey slander about last night. I understand at the beginning of the second half he missed some shots. He was struggling for a little bit. But listen to this, guys. Zach Edey scored 37 of Purdue's 60 points. The rest of the team scored 23. They shot 1 of 7 from 3. So I don't want to hear anything about Zach Edey. I don't want to hear about how this was any sort of fluke or anything like that. Purdue did not Purdue. They made the national championship game.
Purdue.
Matt Painter's legacy has grown. Zach Edey's legacy has grown. And I know there's still a lot of MSU fans who just like bitch and bellyache about Zach Edey. Like, oh my God, if he didn't get every single call, we'd beat him every single time. No, the fact that you had your worst 4-year stretch under Izzo is why you guys never beat Zach Edey and Purdue. So there will be no Zach Edey and Purdue slander, at least from me today.
You know what?
The most important thing, though, is UConn, but I just wanted to get that out of the way.
You know what? Now I understand where a little bit of this is coming from. That's pretty awesome. But I do want to ask you guys if there's anything. Bro, did you have anything on the game? Because I wanted to be able to ask you guys as well about Zach Edey and the Detroit Pistons. I already see a couple people in the chat saying that he's not what the Pistons need. But when you look at the type of defense that he can provide, when you look at the type of presence he can be in the paint, when you look at what he does, no matter what people do to game plan him, this guy's getting 30 and 10 double-doubles, 30-plus and 10-plus rebound double-doubles nightly in the tournament, man.
I mean, I'm not necessarily – like, where are you talking Zach Edey to the Pistons? Like a later round, like a second-round pick or late first? Because he's not going top 5 just because it's the modern NBA. That type of a center, unfortunately or fortunately, no matter how you want to look at it, they're sort of a relic of a times past. Yeah. But I think he has somewhat of an NBA future. I don't think he's going straight to Shanghai or the G League or anything like that. He's 7'4".
Not straight.
Right. I mean, he might at some point, but I think he's going to play some NBA games. I think he's going to go at the late first round of the draft. And part of the reason is because he did show out on the biggest stage. It wasn't just doing it in the Big Ten where you got the refs rigged your way or whatever kind of excuses people want to use. He had a dominant tournament. I said this one time, I believe it was on Wake Up Woodward, or it was on Big D Energy, and a lot of people got mad at me for it, but it's not a direct comparison. What Zach Edey was to this tournament, he was what prime Shaq was in 2000 in terms of at the college basketball level, in terms of dominance up against their competition. Zach Edey gave you 30 and 15 for an entire tournament. He was unbelievable. Do I want him to go to the Pistons early on? Absolutely not. No. But I think he has an NBA future.
What's interesting here, though, you talk about where you believe he may fall in his draft, but who is kind of routinely during their general manager kind of tenure here traded back up or found a way to get another late-round pick. When you talk about these 2 or 3 first-round picks for a team, that's been Troy Weaver's MO. That's been his MO. You talk about Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart. You talk about Jalen Duren. He was still in the lottery, but they did trade back up to pick number 13 with the New York Knicks to acquire him. And then you talk about Marcus Sasser, somebody that was drafted a little bit lower in that draft. And when you look at those players, they are slotted to look like players that will come off the bench. When you talk about a Zach Edey off the bench, is that a guy that you would take a flyer on if Troy Weaver were to say, you know what, let me trade back up because this player has fallen to 22, 23, 24, 25?
No.
In the second round, maybe in the second round. But there's too much that the Pistons need right now. And we all know that, and this is a side conversation, we don't want the Pistons making that pick. We want it traded. So it's just but no, not in the first round, absolutely not. And I've become a Zach Edey fan as a college player, but on the Pistons, I would say no. And Broder, you seem adamant about that as well.
Yeah, no. No, there's nothing that he can do to help. Well, I don't want to say nothing. That's a little blasphemous. He's a fantastic college basketball player. Like everything Sam said, no slandering him in this tournament at Purdue. I get that. But in the NBA, what makes him successful in college basketball is his size, is his strength. He's able to get so close to the basket that he can get so many offensive rebounds or control the defensive glass. When you're in the NBA and the 6'9", 6'10" guys are now just as strong as you, you're not able to get that close where you can just get the rebound over people. They'll box you out deep enough where you can't control the boards, and that's really what his value would be, at least as a rookie, as a sophomore. He's skilled around the basket. Like, I don't mind his game, but the way the NBA's turned, I wouldn't mind him as a backup center. Like, maybe the Spurs get him early in the second round to back up Wemby. You go 7-4, 7-4 off the bench, something like that.
Well, if it's something the Spurs were going to do, then I'm definitely saying maybe the Pistons should take a look at it too, though.
You have a point there.
Because the thing, though, and Stick talked about it as well during setup and everything and prep, it's his defense as well. That's the one thing. When you talk about the modern era of NBA big men, you even see guys like Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren among a whole host of other bigs that are able to take you out to the perimeter. They're able to function on the perimeter, both on defense and on offense. That's where I have to agree with Stick that I believe Zach Edey's going to kind of get left behind in today's game from that standpoint.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like we've talked about, Zach Edey is kind of a relic of times past. But I will say this about Zach Edey, where I have to give him some credit from what I saw last night. Donovan Clingan from UConn is the #1 big man coming out of this draft. He's probably going to be a top 10 pick, and he's had a hell of a tournament. I'm not saying that Donovan Clingan didn't get him a couple of times or make things difficult on Zach Edey a couple of times, but especially in the first half, Zach Edey got Clingan a couple of times as well. It was a hell of a battle between those big men, and I think that Zach Edey on the individual level actually got the better. I know that in Purdue, he's basically the offense. I mean, no player on Purdue besides Zach Edey would start on UConn, and UConn was more balanced in all of that. But seeing Zach Edey, get his from time to time against Donovan Clingan, that's an NBA player right there. That's a top 10 prospect. That's probably the best post defender in college basketball. And Zach Edey got some. Donovan Clingan got some too, but it wasn't like Donovan Clingan shut him down or anything like that. I mean, the man scored 37.
Matthew Kruger said that we're all nuts. Yao Ming 2.0. Oh. Do you guys remember Yao Ming's game?
That's aggressive.
That's a little bit aggressive. I mean, Yao Ming had a footwork in that era of basketball that I believe made him a little bit more successful than what Zach Edey would be able to be in this era of basketball. Like, Yao Ming had footwork. I don't really see that necessarily from Zach Edey. I see him kind of doing your normal post drop steps. Yao Ming also had the kind of short jumper, you know, the 12 to 16 footer that he was very, very reliable on. And then he had the opportunity sometimes to really take one, maybe two dribbles and get into the paint and dunk on somebody without jumping.
Yeah, let's slow our roll on Zach Edey being Yao. I mean, Yao Ming was the #1 pick, and if it weren't for some injuries, Yao Ming's numbers, I think, would look even – I mean, he obviously still made the Hall of Fame, but a lot of it was because of what he did for globalizing the game.
Yeah.
His career was cut short, but there was a time where he gave Shaq trouble from time to time. It was another one where, like, Shaq gave Yao Ming some trouble at first, but Yao Ming bothered Shaq too. So, yeah, let's cool it with the whole Zach Edey is Yao Ming thing.
Yeah, no, I remember Yao Ming was one of those players where for the first time, I was like, yo, there's somebody who's competent against Shaq. You know, obviously we know what Ben Wallace did, but I mean, from a sheer physicality standpoint, size and everything, it was just like, yo, Yao Ming, he's standing his own in the paint.
Yeah. I mean, he was like 7'5". 7'5"? He was a big dude, though. He was like 300 pounds, just had like tree trunks for legs. So, yeah, you need to be like that if you're going to guard Shaq. But, hey, he did all right.
Stick Radio, man. Shout out Stick. He said Edey is Boban at best.
I mean, what did I say, though? Did I ever say that Zach Edey was going to be a star, or did I say he was going to have an NBA career, that he wasn't just going to go straight to Shanghai? He's going to play games in the NBA whether you like it or not, just like Boban did.
Hey,
still is.
Herb Nash said, Bronny or Edey?
Edey. Bronny
what about you, brother?
Terrible season at USC. Go ahead.
Well, if you get LeBron with Bronny, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But Edey's had a much better college career. I like Bronny. Bryce Young, Bryce James, the younger James. I'll wait for him.
Oh yeah, the goggle wearing James. He looks pretty talented, man. Defense, offense, getting taller and taller. Has the handles, all of that.
Got more of his dad's height, too. That's the thing. Bronny looks small on the court. And I get it. He's like an undersized guard at this point who really doesn't have – I mean, his season at USC was not good. It wasn't – on a bad USC team, he struggled to get minutes. So I'm not saying that he can't get better, but the early returns have not been positive.
Shout out to JV. He's making sure we know what reads are coming up next. And I'll show you what he did for me, and we'll see if you guys know what read is next. He was like, you guys already know we got the pet lion, we got the pet tiger, the golden grizzly, we got the Wolverine, and we've just adopted Al the octopus. Shout out to the Detroit Red Wings. And you know what I do to give them the best? I take them to Premier Pet Supplies, hands down Michigan's best pet store, man. The good thing, they've been locally and family-owned for over 30-plus years. 60 brands of food and nutrition experts to help you. So, look, guys, take your pet to Premier Pet to get the best. Visit them online at www.premierpetsupply.com.
First pick in the 2024 Media Draft, Detroit selects Woodward Sports. Thank you for making us the #1 digital network in Detroit.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media. Thank you to all the fans for making Woodward Sports your #1 online destination for Detroit sports. We promise not to drop the ball.
It's the QB Challenge with Shake Shack, the Chicken Shack QB Challenge. We want to remind you, Woodward Sports and Shake Shack, that football season is never over. You got a chance to win 2 tickets to the Lions home opener. If you can throw that pigskin on a rope, you have a chance to win those tickets. So head to woodwardsports.com. Register at any Shake Shack location or click scan that QR code right above my head. It's the QB challenge. Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, fellas, you guys are crushing the live reads without the scripts today. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on this show and to do this work with you guys.
Hey, that was it. The pleasure is all ours, and that was impressive, Broder, because you actually have to get some of the details of that one right. You know, you can't just like wing it completely. So shout out, Broder.
I've been watching a lot of Harry Mack. Like, that's my guy, with the greatest freestyle rapper of all time, and his transition game is epic. Like, literally, I don't want to say I study him, but he's a role model in this game. He does something completely different, but there's a lot of carryover with how you enunciate your words and deliver just off the dome.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to the chat family. I see Eduardo O'Neill. I'm excited to meet Sam one day. Sam is a great, great individual. And I'm telling you guys, there is something to this, the flannel and the dealer of the year thing, man. There's a whole other side to flannel that you guys will find out when you meet him live, but we won't put those things out on air.
He'd be a good drug dealer. You never expect it.
Hey, Eduardo, I'm looking forward to it, man. I got to meet a lot of people. We all did at opening day, and everybody was as nice as could be. So that's why we have the best chat family in all of sports media.
Yeah, and definitely. And you know what, JB? Do we have another one of those Tiger videos? Hey, we'll play one, and then we're going to get right into our next segment. And as always, chat family, thank you guys for your support. Smash that like button, and if you have already, encourage somebody else to do the same.
My name's Jalen, and I'm a Detroit fan. I'm a Detroit native, and I'm here with the Woodward Sports, and this is a good opportunity. This is my first open weekend, and I'm appreciative of being here, and it's a pleasure just meeting him, meet you.
Hey, you guys already know she wants Detroit to play. We're rocking out with the people downtown. It's epic, man. It's epic. Tell people about the electricity and the environment.
Man, it's electric. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people here right now. It's all different age groups. It's fun. It's a good experience.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go Tigers.
Let's go Tigers.
Let's go.
Yeah, look, guys, we are trying to remember better days with the Detroit Tigers. That opening day win for the Tigers, it was epic, man. It wasn't just because of the win, but it was the energy and electricity in the city. It was our whole Woodward Sports crew being downtown. It was being able to interact with our chat family as well, so we wanted to make sure that we featured you guys as well. It was an awesome time. Now to be able to talk about a team that actually is probably going to meet the flannel expectation, the Detroit Red Wings. And I know that you already kind of answered this to start the show. I will ask you again. Tonight's a must-win, huh?
Oh, it's I guess technically not the dictionary definition of a must-win, but for all intents and purposes, I believe it's a win and you're in, a lose and you're out. And if you win in regulation, if you win in overtime, you're probably still feeling pretty good. But if you win this game in regulation, it would be absolutely huge. And I understand that there would still technically be more work to do. You would then play at Pittsburgh, which is another team that lost in overtime last night, so they got a point, so they're chasing you. But this is a huge win. You've got to get, I would say, this one first, and then two, and then so in total 4-1. So win tonight, win 3 more, and you can afford to drop one, or you could go 3-1-1. I just this one tonight is absolutely crucial, and I think that they can get it because Washington, they're in a little bit of a tailspin themselves. Guys like Larkin are stepping up, Raymond and Patrick Kane, and then even defensively, I'll give the Red Wings this. Ever since they brought up Simon Edvinsson and Jake Wallman's gotten healthy, this defense is now fully intact, and at least at the top end, they're not so bad because we all know what a Sider can do. Some of those depth pieces like Petrie and Olimata and Ben Sherratt, that's another story for another day. But this team is good enough.
You know what? You just talked about the defense here, and obviously with the Detroit Red Wings, that's probably been their Achilles heel, as well as stretches of good goalie play with stretches of inconsistent goalie play. How are you feeling about this team, the last, 4 or 5 games of the season, heading towards the playoffs? How are you feeling about this defense and the goalies? Because we know that if they get hot, they can carry a team a long way.
Well, the reality is that the Red Wings goaltending situation is not ideal. What they basically have right now at this stage of their careers are 3 backups, 3 who you would prefer to be your goaltender too. I will say this, though. Alex Lyon in the game against Buffalo. Buffalo outshot Detroit 38-24, but Alex Lyon saved 37 of 38 shots. So he played one of the best games that he's ever played, and maybe that's a sign that he is going to become, at least in this final regular season stretch, that hot goaltender. And as I already said before, Mo Seider, we all know what he can do. He's had a great year. Simon Edvinsson has given this defense a real jolt ever since he's come up from Grand Rapids. Shout out to him. He was that trade deadline move that the Red Wings actually could make because he's been great for this team. And, of course, Jake Wallman being healthy. You've got some guys who are capable. And lately their defense has been better. It's just there's certain people on the offensive side that need to step up because their defense right now, if they continue to play like this, I think that they can get in given what their offensive upside is.
We saw Pittsburgh, the Penguins last night. They didn't win, but they got to overtime and lost to the Maple Leafs, correct?
Yes.
So they're one game ahead. They're one game behind. They've played one more game than the Red Wings. The Capitals are right there, and the Flyers. Who do you think of those three teams are maybe the biggest risk to the Red Wings of taking that second wildcard spot?
It's the Penguins because the Red Wings, they play the Penguins on the road. That's going to be a tough one. That is one where you can't say that you'd be surprised if they were to lose because they haven't played well lately, and it is a road game. You know, you still got Sidney Crosby who's still playing well at this stage in his career, which is absolutely crazy. So to me, the Penguins are the biggest threat right now, which is funny because not even a couple weeks ago they were somebody who was like, the Penguins, they're out of it, but they've gotten hot. That's all it takes are a couple of teams like Philadelphia and Washington sputtering, and the Red Wings have sputtered too, and Pittsburgh winning a couple of games, and all of a sudden they might get in. It's insane how much of a logjam that there is at the for both the last spot in the Metropolitan Division and the last spot in the wild card spot. There's basically 5 teams fighting for 2 spots, and hopefully the Red Wings get that wild card spot.
Yeah. Now, how are you feeling about players like Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat?
All right. Well,
because DeBrincat is one that I've seen fans, especially on socials, they are mixed on the type of year he's had. You even brought up kind of the season he's had. He started hot, but kind of tailed off a little bit.
Well, that's a different discussion because Patrick Kane I'm cool with. Patrick Kane has given you everything that you could have ever imagined. Just when you look at his numbers, they're an approximation of even some of the numbers he would put up when he was in his prime. He's given you 43 points in 45 games.
Yep.
Alex DeBrincat, he's actually, believe it or not, he's probably close to the top in terms of my Detroit sports-ish list right now. Because here's the reality.
He's not who's first, Baez or DeBrincat?
Obviously Baez is like, I mean, the Pistons front office Baez, but DeBrincat, here's the problem with him, is that obviously he started the year hot. He was very, very good. He was one of the biggest reasons why the Red Wings had put themselves in the position that they had, where they were playing well. They were 9 points clear of the last wild card spot.
Yeah.
But here's the reality. This is a guy that has scored 40 goals in a season twice. In the last 18 games, the Red Wings have gone 5-11-2, which to me, that's a tailspin. If they continue this is a playoff costing collapse. And in those 18 games, do you know how many goals that Alex DeBrincat has? 1. 1. That's a problem. And I feel like Alex DeBrincat is getting a pass. And I understand. For all of you who want to talk about the depth pieces. Yes, Andrew Kopp's not scoring. Comfort's not scoring. Sprong was playing so bad that he got benched. Rasmussen is not playing well. Fabry, Veleno, all of those guys have to share some of the blame for not playing up to their caliber as well. But Alex DeBrincat was the man. Alex DeBrincat was your 40-goal scorer. Alex DeBrincat was your prize get, at least in terms of coming into this offseason. And then obviously you got Patrick Kane later. And during this stretch, he is sputtering. And the worst part is Dylan Larkin, ever since he's gotten back, 8 points in 8 games. Raymond, in those same 18 games in which Alex DeBrincat has 1 goal and 7 points. Raymond has 12. Kane has 13. Even David Perron has 11. Alex DeBrincat is a guy who has scored 40 goals in a season twice, and for almost a fourth of the season sample size, he's on pace for 4.
Yeah, because in my opinion, it's just like, all right, you have DeBrincat because those other players that you mentioned that will go through their kind of seasonal slumps, he's one of those types of guys who's supposed to help to mitigate those times. And when Dylan Larkin went out, it was shocking to see the performance on the other end of that thing.
That's where I don't want to say, I don't know if I was ever in love, but I kind of fell out of love with Alex DeBrincat as a player a little bit because it made me think that he's more of a, I don't know if he's even a star at that point. And I get it. 40 goals in a season, 40 goals twice in a season is a phenomenal accomplishment. The Red Wings haven't had a guy who's capable of doing that since Marian Hossa. So it's been a while. But apparently they don't have a guy who's capable of doing that now in Alex DeBrincat because right now, even on the totality of the season, he has 24. If he doesn't score again, it will be his not his career low, but it will be his second worst goal output of his entire career. And during that time when Dylan Larkin was out, when they needed someone to step up in the worst way, because we talked about how they had the high-end talent. We talked about how they had the depth. Alex DeBrincat in those 8 games didn't score a single goal, only had 2 assists, and the Red Wings were 2-6. That's not good enough. And if the Red Wings don't make the playoffs, if Alex DeBrincat doesn't turn this around and have a hot stretch for these last 5 games, I am going to ether that man on air. The reason that I'm not going harder is because he does have a chance to right every single wrong. Because if they make the playoffs, I will focus more on the times in which he helped the team at the beginning of the year and they were able to withstand a cold stretch. If this cold stretch is one of the biggest reasons why the Red Wings do not make the playoffs, then he deserves all of the ire that he's going to get from me and from others.
Main says the cat acting like he's on his 9th life, chilling. Also, Speakeasy says my salsa makes the girls want to dance. Well, shout out to my band from D12.
Hey, my band. Hey, what up, ladies? My name's I'm the lead singer in D12. All right, that was another time.
Those are the days.
Those were the days. Now, just one more thing before we kind of move on to the next segment. I'm seeing the chat right now talk about the head coach, Lalonde. What do you make of that? There's some people who say he needs to be fired. Where do you stand as it relates to his kind of accountability to what we've seen the Red Wings do as they've kind of gone through a cold stretch, almost gave up this kind of wild card hope. Now they're back in it a little bit. Where do you sit with this thing?
God, it's so tough because I don't want to make too many bold proclamations because I will be happy if they just make the playoffs, and I will be happy with the whole Iser plan and the whole Lalonde thing, at least for now. If they don't make the playoffs this year, though, and then maybe don't play up to their talent level to start the season next year, Derek Lalonde is absolutely on the hot seat. He absolutely is. When you're collapsing like this, when you're tail spinning like this, a lot of it has to do with coaching. It can't be one of those things where you suffer a couple of injuries in a sport in which a lot of it is based on depth and you just collapse like this. And Derek Lalonde just not getting his players ready, kind of having some interesting line choices and rotations that I don't necessarily agree with. If it all results in a playoff collapsing tailspin, Derek Lalonde, I might even put him on the hot seat going into next year. Maybe that sounds a little bit crazy, but you can't collapse. You can't F your season. I'm sorry. You're not going to F your season consequence-free. I'm not saying that it's already done right now, but there's a lot of people yesterday. I was on BDE. I'm a little bit hot still. Like Neil Rule, it seems like the entirety of the chat are just going to let them F their season with consequence-free, and I'm not down with that. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry.
Own it. Stand on business.
Together.
Come on, bro. You got the flannel on with the deal of the year. Stand on business.
Get it
man.
together,
I like
guys. Get it together. Alex DeBrincat, get your head out of your ass. I know I'm in Feldman. And I'm a little bit loud right now, but 1 goal in 18 games while watching the Red Wings completely F themselves is not good enough.
It's not.
But the good news is all they got to do is play well down the stretch, and they will find themselves in. And everything I just said was moot.
Flannel. Oh, my gosh, boy. I love it. And you know what, man? You said something, too, that I think if we don't get to it in this show, we definitely need to make this a segment. Flannel's Ish List. We all need a power rankings, man. Who's the hot and who's the coldest power rankings? Our top 3 or top 5 right now. Maybe we might get into that in the Tiger segment. Who
Delicious.
Delicious? She's in your hot power rankings, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Where are we going to, Mr. JB Smooth? You got to act it out, man. Come on. Lady Jane's haircuts for men. You want to feel amazing? Amazing is when a guy can sit back, can relax, can get an amazing haircut, and you can do all of that at Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Stop in anytime, and you can listen. I'm telling you guys, the talented stylists at Lady Jane's, they will take care of you. You will walk out of there feeling like $1,000,000. Get to any Lady Jane's. It's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's is wicked awesome.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? See what I did there? Go Red Wings! From Octopi Experts Woodward Sports.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Hey, look, guys, I got a little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news. I'll start with the bad news. Insurance rates are up in the state of Michigan. I can't even say that they're going up. They're just up right now, and they're causing a lot of havoc right now. The good news, though, is that Swiss Insurance is here to help. Now, more than ever, it is important to have them review your insurance. They will make sure that your current carrier isn't, slipping in any extra fees or raising deductibles. All you have to do is call Mark at Swiss Insurance today or visit them online at swissins.com and tell them that Woodward Sports sent you.
All right, so this is opening day.
Ooh,
the Tigers are 5-1. What are your predictions for this game? We got Tarek Skubal on the mound against the Oakland A's.
I got Tarek Skubal. He's going 6 2/3. We're gonna have 8 strikeouts, maybe 1 walk. We got a Torque bomb. We got a Colt Keith bomb. We got McKinstry with a double. We're gonna win 8-2.
Tarek Skubal, it's going to be 3-1 Tigers. I think Torkelson's going to hit one. Carpenter's going to hit one.
Hey, I think we got a bad taste in our mouth after that second game yesterday. I think we're taking the win big today.
Let's go. That's 3 wins. I'm number 4. The last thing I got to ask you guys, can I get your best impression of a Tiger? Your best roar?
Oh, boy, man.
Roar! Ah! Roar! Let's go. Tigers opening day. We'll see you. Kirk, Dustin, thank you.
What up, though, people? There we go. Welcome back as Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys for kicking off the morning with your crew, man. 4 of us are here from the starting 5. Shout out to KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick, man. He will be back with us tomorrow. But today, we got Mr. Flannel Sam, our vet. We have Mr. Matthew Broder, our Detroit Tigers and Lions
Hello.
reporter and writer. We got JB Smooth in the, I guess, the TD space today. Is that just what we call it? Yeah.
He goes, I don't know. Yeah.
It's your boy Detroit
I like titties.
Kool-Aid as well.
That's what he said, I think.
Beat writer, reporter. And you know what? If we had to rank those, to kind of power rank those roars, I think Broder, you were probably second.
That's what.
But that's
QT says I'm first.
First?
Yeah.
You know what? If the chat, we'll let the chat kind of nudge that. Whoever was next to you, though, he's fourth on the power.
Was that Dustin? I think it was Dustin.
Yeah.
Kurt had a good one.
Yeah.
It was good. It was so much. Actually, Spenmo, in some of his interviews, he had some really epic, got some really epic roars back. That was the inspiration.
Yeah, I kind of want to see if we can get Flannel to do a Tiger roar as well to tee up this segment.
That would be epic.
I'll put him on the spot. You know what? We'll throw it over to Mr. Matthew Broder. Look, Tigers, another loss. That's 3 in a row. I like how you have this teed up in the sheet, too. 2 to the crappy A's and 1 to the first place Pirates. How concerned should we be right now? We expected an offensive lull. We expected the pitching to be stressed and to be tested and to really have to carry the brunt of the Detroit Tigers' success. early in this season. We knew that they were going to be the ones. We expected them to be able to keep it close enough for there to be timely hitting, small ball, the way that A.J. Hinch likes to kind of manufacture runs, to be able to make a difference. So now that we've seen them kind of lose a couple games where they're giving up 6 and 7 runs, how concerned should we be about this Detroit Tigers team overall as well as the offense?
I don't know if concern's the right word because these were kind of the expectations, but there really hasn't been one hitter that has put together a quality start to the season. Like, you're looking for at least 2 or 3 guys, at different stretches of the season to be able to withstand, some good pitching or some lulls in the rest of their offense. That just hasn't happened yet. Like, this team needs Riley Green to hit well. This team needs Torkelson to hit well. Riley Green showed some flashes, and I think I probably need to apologize from yesterday because I lumped those two together, Riley Green and Torque, and although Riley Green really hasn't blown me away yet, at least he's put some good swings on the ball, and Torque seems to be struggling. He's got a really long swing, and I'm not worried about Torque long term. I think he'll figure it out, but it's been such a bad start. Like you would think, especially carrying over from spring training to now, he really hasn't found his rhythm at all. Like that long swing, when you're in a slump, you want to shorten up. You want to be able to figure out how to put the bat on the ball, figure out how to put the ball in the play. He had 2 strikeouts again last night. He did have a walk, and he did have a double, but that double was kind of a little dribbler down the line. It's not like he hit that one that hard. I don't think concern needs to be there yet because this is what we expected of this team. However, this is a problem. When you go down 3-1 and there's nothing you can really do to manufacture runs to get back, it turned 5-1 real quick the next inning, 7-1 eventually. There's just not much more you can do. And what you can't do, if Torque's not going to hit the ball and he gets on base via walk in the first inning, there's some energy, there's some rhythm, there's some momentum that they have to start the game in Pittsburgh, and then Torque gets thrown out at third base to end the inning. I was telling you before the show, Kool-Aid, there's one of the baseball rules, I don't know if unwritten rule is the right word, but one of the big no-nos that on the base path, you can't be the first or the third out at third base. That's an absolute momentum killer. You think, what if they put 2-3 runs on the board in that first inning? And this game's completely different. Reese Olson doesn't have the same type of pressure going out there. You go out with an early 3-0 lead, you start to get comfortable. Unfortunately, Reese Olson wasn't able to settle in, and they couldn't come back from 7-1.
Yeah, you mentioned it about Spencer Torkelson getting thrown out at third. That really made me upset because – And I'm not going to go in on it or anything like that. It's early in the season. But when you make outs on the base path, when you make unforced outs on the base path, that's how you really kind of, for lack of a better term, F a team that could use all of the base runners that they can get, that need people to that need RBI opportunities for guys behind them, that need to kind of keep the line moving because they struggled so badly at the end of that A series, losing the last 2 while only scoring 1 run. That was a complete momentum killer, and for lack of a better term, I'm not going to use very much tact, but it was kind of like a nut punch for me as somebody watching the game because Spencer Torkelson, here's the reality right now, and I'm not going to go too much in on him because it's only 10 games in, but at least with like Riley Green, I see 3 home runs. I see him taking walks. I see an approach at the plate that I like. Even Parker Meadows, and his batting average is fugly right now. It's in the O's. But he's taking his walks. He's got a nice plate approach. He just needs to hit a little bit more. Colt Keith, the same thing. His on-base percentage right now is at .333, which actually isn't even that bad. He's starting to heat up a little bit. But Spencer Torkelson, it's just he's not really taking walks, even though he did last night. Good on him, but we all know what happened after the walk. He's not really hitting. He got thrown out on the base pass, which if that wouldn't have happened, the entire trajectory of the game could have been different. I don't want to play the whole butterfly effect thing, but it could have been different, and that's why I know I'm going to get a little bit philosophical, but I hate outs on the base path more than anything in the world. That's why I'm not as big a fan of stolen bases as some. Because
you look like a disappointed father right now.
As far as I'm concerned, just keep the line moving. The worst thing that can happen is you stop on second, and it's first and second. The first and second, and you're rolling at that point in the inning. But the worst thing that did happen was he got thrown out at third. It's just when you're a team that's struggling to score runs that much, that to me was just kind of a microcosm of how it's been for the for the last 3 games.
And Flannel, if I'm not mistaken, you brought it up yesterday. He was the number 1 overall pick. Like, he was pick 1 in the 2020 draft, the COVID year.
I believe so.
So there's just a higher standard we expect out of him. And with this young team, all the justification that KG has done for this Tigers team to justify not spending on a bat is the assumption that you're going to get production out of both Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson at the very least. When you're not getting that, and you got young guys playing, you got it's a lineup that's not going to produce a ton of runs anyway. You hope to have some good days, but you need those 2 to hit.
Yeah, and you know what? Shout out to the chat as well. Mitt and May, you said you weren't going to go in. I think the chat family wants us to go in on this. They said, "No, go in. Torque better get that bat twerking."
Oh well, yeah, that goes without saying. It's just. It's really hard to judge at this point in the season. It is, because in baseball you're going to lose some games. You just are. The best teams in the all of Major League Baseball lose about 60 times. So I don't want to overreact to every single loss. The A's series hurt me so bad because I think that's when you at least got to take 2 out of 3 from. Give yourself at least that a 7-2 start so you can buffer maybe a cold streak when the schedule gets tougher. But it's hard to make too many snap judgments. I will say this, though. The Tigers, their bats, it's just not working right now. Right now, they're 25th in Major League Baseball in runs, and 8 of those runs have came on 2 different extra inning explosions, in which scoring is easier because you get a ghost man on second. I'm not saying disregard all of those. They led to wins, but in terms of 9-inning games, they're one of the worst offenses in MLB. I'm not worried at all about the bullpen because, you've still got 3 guys. You got Vest, you have Vest, you have Foley, you have Shelby Miller, all given just zeros. You've got Holton, Chafin, and Faedo all going with ERAs under 3. But 2, I'm a little bit, I don't know if I want to say concerned, but the starting pitching. You saw Kenta Maeda with 1 bad game and 1 okay meh game which all leads to a 9 ERA. You saw Jack Flaherty chase a great game with a bad game. You saw Reese Olson chase a great game with a bad game. You saw even Tarek Skubal struggle a little bit in the home opener, although the Tigers were able to pick him up.
Tell them how you really feel.
Hey, yeah. And then even Casey Mize in his first start, he did pitch well, but he gave you like a 4 1/3 with 3 earned runs. Hopefully he can write that today and have a great start. But just right now, it seems like if the starting pitching isn't great, they're probably going to lose, unfortunately, with the way their offense is playing.
Shout out to Gromit 0237 in the chat. I think he's referring this to the bats. He said it's like heating a mansion with a space heater.
Interesting.
And I got to ask real quick before we get into this next segment, because I know we got all Lions the entire second hour of the show. Have your expectations early for the Detroit Tigers changed? Are you kind of holding true to the fact that they can and will compete in this AL Central?
Yeah, my expectations haven't changed. The whole reason for competing in the AL Central is because the AL Central is down, not because the Tigers have some extraordinarily talented team at the moment. We like their pitching. We like their starting and bullpen pitching, although, as we've seen, there have already been a few issues. But this is what's expected. In fact, you would have told me we're 6-3 after the first 9 games. I'd say I'll take that any day of the week. Or 9 what are they, 6-4?
6-4.
6-4. The problem is that 2 of them came to the A's.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem. If we're up to me, and I know it goes against some of the newer analytics, but seeing the success that they've had in extra innings, unless it's Torkelson and Green up at bat, I'd almost, anytime a guy gets on first base, I would lay down a bunt, get him to second base. Like, this team has speed. This team, when you can put the ball in play, if someone can get a single and you got a guy on second, there's a very, very strong chance that they're scoring. So that's just my philosophy. I know my dad feels the same way, but when you can't score runs with the bats, like, you got to manufacture them some way. The best way to do that is to get them to second base.
Well, and one other reason for me, I'm going to echo that sentiment that I still expect the Tigers to compete in the AL Central is because they still have that dominant bullpen. That's not going away unless, save for some knock-on-wood injuries. They still have starting pitching, which I think will end up being good. I think Skubal will compete for a Cy Young. I think Mize and Olson will eventually get it back on track. With Maeda and Flaherty, you never know. But then maybe at some point in the season, Matt Manning joins the rotation, which I would certainly like. And then the hitting. When I know that Neil Rule likes to talk about how it's like, oh, you need like a 5-6 leg parlay to hit, which isn't true, by the way, but I kind of get I kind of get what he's saying. You also, I'm very, very confident, and I don't think that this is a hot take, that the parlay isn't going to continue to hit the other way. There is not one hitter in the Tigers lineup, at least and as far as their young guys, who's playing up to their capability. Not one. And you can maybe chalk that up to an early season 10-game lull, and of course when it comes to guys like Parker Meadows and Colt Keith, a little bit of youth. I think that the bats will eventually heat up to some extent. And while those young guys aren't hitting, Gio Urshela is. Mark Canha has about a 400 on a base percentage. So I guess my point is that you don't have to have them all have spectacular seasons, the young guys, but they're not all going to continue to play at this level. It's just not going to happen because you've seen a track record.
All right. Hey, look, my expectations is for this team to continue to compete. Yeah. And you know what? I feel like they have the pieces. I know some people really, really, really wanted them and still want them to go out there and get a big bat. But let's see what Green and Torque do. One thing I do know is that Tigers uniforms are crispy. But I think I know something else, some wearables that are also just as crispy. You want to tell me about that, JB?
Oh, no, I'm not telling you about it. KG is actually.
Huh?
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's KG. I'm gonna do this one off the dome.
Shout out KG.
Shout out Stick. Shout out Stick. I know you guys are tired of wearing that same old Chauncey Billups jersey from like 2014 and stuff like that. But go to woodwardsports.com. Click shop. We got whole new designs dropping every single week. We got the Brad Holmes guy shirt, as you see right there. The Woodward Lions. The Let's Go Red Wing shirt as well. I know I got like 2 of those at the house right now. But go to woodwardsports.com, click on that shop tab, and get hooked up, get swagged out.
You're brilliant, JB.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Buying your first Feldman Chevrolet is much more than buying the car that will get you from point A to point B. It's a place for first memories, some big, some small. As she grows, you're not just buying her a Chevy. You're buying into a Feldman family. With more than 700,000 vehicles sold, from generation to generation, Feldman just keeps rolling.
We are live from Feldman Chevrolet in Novi, one of the best places to get a car you could ever ask for. And how do you know? Because I went there to get my car when my car broke down on the way to the Michigan-Ohio State basketball game in early 2023. I probably should have been going to that anyway. That was a sign, but Feldman really saved me. I talked to my guy Ryan Palter. I talked to a JP. I talked to Francis, and they hooked me up. I came in here with a loan that was a little upside down. I was a little worried on whether or not I'd be able to get a new car loan for a decent price, but they hooked me up in 3.5 hours. I was in and out, had a car in the same day. 3.5 hours sounds like a long time, but when you're going to buy a car, it is as quick as can be. It felt like an absolute breeze, and I still have that car to this day. And you can all come in here and get some of those incredible deals. Hell, you guys might not be upside down. Imagine the loans that you can get. So stop into Feldman today and get yourself a new vehicle.
What up, though, people? It's your boy Detroit Kool-Aid, Woodward Sports. We are live, man. We are having a great time at the Grand Slam Fest for Detroit Tigers opening day. I'm with somebody special, man, one of our viewers. His name is Chase Amley. How you doing today, man, for Detroit Tigers opening day?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. This is my first time being downtown for opening day, so excited to be here. Happy to be watching the shows live and hopefully get another Tigers win.
Hey, look, you were one of the winners, right? We were giving away passes all week. You were one of the winners?
Yeah, I won on heavyweights on Wednesday night. I happened to win tickets because I think I remembered where Nick was going on vacation. So Nick from the Sound Mood, have fun down in Tennessee, man.
Hey, and tell the people about the energy and electricity that's going on right now. People are starting to make their way in.
Oh yeah, this place is packed. It's gotten at least 50% busier since when I arrived about 30 minutes ago. Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's bouncing around. They got tons of cool. They got koozies. There's Finnish long drink is cool. I was here giving out some stuff. It's a fun time, man.
Hey, that's what it is, man. Woodward Sports, Grand Slam Fest, Detroit Tigers open today. Let me get a Let's Go Tigers.
Let's go Tigers.
Let's go Tigers.
Man, yo, that is so awesome, man. I'm telling you guys, we absolutely love and appreciate when we can interact with our chat family. You guys mean the world to us. You're a very, very big and important part of this show. It's what drives us. Trust me, man, with some of our sports teams in the dumps, I'm telling you guys, the chat family is one of the things that drives us the most to be able to do this every day. And you know what else, something else that can drive you? Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It's Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. We are live today at Feldman. We're having a good time. I know D-Mac's supposed to be in today as well, right?
Darren, come meet Darren McCarty. He will say hello for sure. He will sign anything that you want.
You can get down here, sign for a new car, and get an autograph from Darren McCarty.
That sounds like a full day to me.
That sounds like a plan. But we talked about it, man. We got to talk about the other cats, the king of the jungle, the Detroit Lions. And we had socials kind of lighting up. I know Broder's been lighting up socials as well with his comparisons, this or that. And today we have to talk about the Detroit Lions offense and how it stacks up against what we would perceive to be one of the other better offenses from the NFC. The Lions versus the Eagles pass catchers. And, JB, you have that graphic?
Coming in hot soon here in a second.
Yeah, and I'll kick it over to Broder as well if you want to kind of tee this up for the chat family.
I'd be happy to tee it up like Tony Gwynn. So the Lions, I posted this on Twitter, on X, on whatever it's called today or next week, comparing two pass-catching groups. I was really interested in what not just Lions fans, but what people out there would think of the Lions versus the Eagles pass catchers. And we're taking running backs out of the equation, and we're just going 3 receivers deep plus a tight end. So I said, which pass-catching group would you choose? Would it be Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Sam Laporta, or A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Devontae Parker, and Dallas Goedert? And I feel like it's been 50-50. There's been a lot of arguments, a lot of debates. Some people say it's Philly, it's not even close. Some people say it's the Lions by a slim margin. There's not many Lions by a wide margin, but it really has gone both ways. It's sort of how you approach this. And I really wanted to ask this question, no offense, Khalid, especially with Flannel here, just because there's so many different ways to approach which one of these 4-person groups would you take. So I'm gonna go to Flannel first, Kool-Aid. Who you going with?
All right.
And why?
I am going to go with the Eagles. And hey, but before you guys,
that's okay.
I know I'm talking to the chat. Before you guys,
they're gonna rip you, aren't they?
But before we, you guys throw your slings and arrows. Here's why I say the Philadelphia Eagles. I think when you look at both lists, you see a clear big 2. With the Lions, it's obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta, and with the Eagles, it's A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. If you were to look at that big 2, those big 2s, I would say that they're about as even as they come. When it comes to A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown in terms of wide receiver rankings, I would probably have them right next to each other. Like maybe like 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 or 6 and 7 or something like that. Those are 2 just elite wide receivers. I know I know that A.J. Brown kind of fell off a bit as the year went on. That whole team just kind of took a nosedive. But A.J. Brown, at one point in the season, he was looking like he might be the best receiver in football. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, we all know he's first-team All-Pro. Devontae Smith is probably, a top 20 to 25 receiver in the NFL. And then, of course, Sam Laporta at the tight end position is one of the best. But it's hard to kind of like quantify one of the best tight ends versus a top 20 wide receiver. There's just different kind of players. I think what separates the Eagles from the Lions right now is those 3-4 pieces. Because Dallas Goedert, he's probably a bottom end of the top 10 tight end. Devontae Parker is somebody who played on a lot of really bad offenses, hasn't quite had the career that was expected. The last couple of seasons he was in the New England Patriots, Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones hell, so I don't want to knock him too much for that. But when it comes to the Detroit Lions, I think what keeps them from being as good as the Eagles when it comes to the pass catching is that J-Mo and Donovan Peoples-Jones just haven't proven enough based on what they did last season. I mean, combined, they had 509 receiving yards. I'm not saying that's everything. I know that it's more of a projection of what they're going to do this year, but I can't in good conscience include those two in sort of like a big four or something like that. Right now with the Lions, it's kind of the big two and everybody else. When it comes to the Eagles, I think that Dallas Goedert might be the third rung of a big three, and that Devontae Parker could have a bounce-back season. So give me the Eagles by the slimmest of margins.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that as well, about the slimmest of margins, because when you talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta and what they did last season, both of those guys put up what – there's a lot of people who believe that Sam Laporta could be or is the top tight end in the league, and he was catching everything thrown his way.
Yeah.
When you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's another one of those guys that realistically is catching everything thrown his way. But you said it best. When you look at kind of the 2, 3, 4 the wide receivers for the Detroit Lions, that's where things get questionable. I'm not going to say bad, but questionable. We don't know. I do know that as the season went on, especially towards the end of the season and the playoffs, Jameson Williams showed me a lot more than I had believed in to the first half of that season.
That's fair.
So it's like if I'm kind of basing off of that, I do believe they have the potential to be better than the Philadelphia Eagles pass catchers, because it's not just the wide receivers, but the overall pass catchers, which includes the tight ends. But part of me wants to and hope to see, and I know you didn't put the running backs in here, but I'm hoping that even a Jahmyr Gibbs going into next season is one of those guys who actually hits a little bit more of what he was billed to be, which was an all-out weapon. They were saying that this is a guy that you can slide out into the slot position. He's a guy that you can catch the ball out of the backfield. These are the things I'm hoping that they institute a little bit more, because I don't know. Right now, we have to sit and we have to think, how much did they really lose in Josh Reynolds, who honestly, outside of that kind of 49ers game, was sure-handed. He was dependable. He had chemistry. We can only hope that DPJ has a bounce-back season and that Jameson Williams takes those next step forward to be able to give the Lions kind of a clear advantage from a receiving and pass-catching standpoint.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that J-Mo and Donovan Peoples-Jones can't have better seasons or be more productive than a Devontae Parker and Dallas Goedert. I can't in good conscience put two guys above two Eagles guys when those two Lions guys just last season, as I said before, gave you 509 combined receiving yards on the whole season. Not each, combined.
You're more in like a, wait-and-see approach, that they could be the ones that ultimately tip the scales.
Yeah, well, 100%. I expect the best season out of J-Mo's career, for example. I expect if Donovan Peoples-Jones gets an off season and gets a training camp and everything, that he will be better in this, obviously better than he was with the Lions at the end of last year. He might kind of fill that Josh Reynolds role. It's just
they haven't done it yet.
They haven't done it yet.
They haven't done it yet, and you guys aren't going to like me. I happen to lean in Sam's direction with this one. Yeah. If we're starting a team today, and you had to draft these players where they're at in their careers right now, I'm taking the Lions 10 out of 10 times. But if we're going to talk about who is that best foursome right now, it's hard to deny the production, the history of that Eagles core. I mean, Dallas Goedert, he might be near the bottom of the top 10 right now, but he's been one of the better tight ends for the last 6 years. Yeah. Devontae Smith, actually, let's start at the top. Even if we just go tight end versus tight end, receivers versus receivers, I'm personally picking Amon-Ra St. Brown over A.J. Brown, but there's no denying how talented A.J. Brown and how long he's done it for 6, 7, 8 years maybe. I forget how long he's been in the league. So I'm going to call that a wash. I love Jameson Williams. You guys know how much I love Jameson Williams, but Devontae Smith has already proved it for 2 or 3 years. Like, he is an established number 2 receiver. I expect J-Mo to get there this year. He just hasn't done it yet. So I give the edge there to Devontae Smith. Devontae Parker and DPJ, also probably a wash. I'm going to go DPJ, but a lot of that is just projecting what I believe he'll be, what that one really good season in Cleveland was. I think he can be a stud. And then Sam Laporta and Dallas Goedert. I'm personally taking Sam Laporta over Dallas Goedert today, but it's hard to deny he's done it for 6 years. Sam Laporta has had 1 year. If Sam Laporta keeps on this trajectory, he will be the best tight end in the league, and I'll take him over anybody. But what the Eagles have done to this point, it's hard to deny. Also, you throw Khalif Raymond in there, you add one more piece, whether that's Khalif or the 2 running backs. I'm taking the Detroit Lions offense over them. But I thought this was an interesting one. When you have to choose between these 4, it requires a little bit of thought.
Yeah, and what I was going to ask is this. Then what's the expectation? Because obviously if we have to pick it right now, just based on sheer production, right now you have to kind of lean towards the Eagles. But what are you expecting next season? Are you expecting the Detroit Lions of 4 pass catchers to surpass what the Eagles have currently?
I expect for this not to be as much of a conversation next year. To when we're going into next season, we're talking about the Lions clearly have the better pass catching foursome. I will say out of that, because first off, I know a lot of people think that I hate Jameson Williams, but what he has going for him this next season is that, knock on wood, he started both his rookie and his second-year season out. He was drafted as an injured player. He kind of had a lost rookie season. His second year, he had that gambling suspension. He ended up missing, I believe, 4 games. It was 6.
Suspension and a little bit of injury? Was it just a suspension?
He actually did get hurt. He got hurt when he made that catch against the Cowboys. He hurt his ankle and then was out for the next game. So he played 12. I expect him to have the best season of his career. As I said before, I expect Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, last season, he did not have a good year. But the situations he were in with those 4 quarterbacks in the Browns, then coming over to a Lions offense in which he didn't really know anything or know the playbook or really never got acclimated, I think that's going to change. I expect, as I said, another dominant year from Amon-Ra St. Brown, another great year from Sam Laporta, and that coming into next season, we're not talking about the Lions or the Eagles in terms of pass catchers. We're talking about the Lions are clearly better. That's my expectation.
And I see George Eagle. He said lean towards the Eagles. Look at the offenses overall. How does our offensive line compare to we're not necessarily talking about the overall offense. Yes. This was as related to those 4 pass catchers, their top 3 wide receivers or expected wide receivers, and the tight ends.
Yeah.
If you're taking overall offense, I'm definitely going to, me personally, I'm stamping it. I'm taking the Lions offense overall, especially with the offensive line, the 2-headed monster of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, what Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta have done, which seems to be just enough for this Detroit Lions offense. I'm definitely taking them over the Eagles.
Well, and that's why we have to have the pass catchers discussion, because if it's the offense, you're clearly taking the Lions, especially with Jason Kelce retiring and Lane Johnson getting up there in age, and he has injury issues, it seems like, almost every single year. And of course, the running backs, I would certainly take David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs as a duo against anybody in the NFL, let alone the Eagles, and even the Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts conversation. It's definitely, I might take Jared Goff now. If you would have said, hey,
let's go.
If you would have said that after last season, I would have put Jalen Hurts as the clear best quarterback in the NFC. But I know he had some injury issues and he wasn't 100%. But Jalen Hurts did not have his best season, and Jared Goff did. So I would probably take Jared Goff moving forward.
Eduardo O'Neill said Hurts is just a more mobile Goff.
I don't think Hurts can sniff Jared Goff's arm. Like in terms of accuracy, at least, I'm sure he can let one fly. But I'm taking Jared Goff's arm all day. But the total package of Jalen Hurts, I must say him at the beginning of last year, I'm taking him over any quarterback in the NFC. A little change of tone after how that season ended. I'm not totally sold on him anymore.
I mean, you could say that he was a bit of a turnover machine and a tush-push merchant.
Yeah.
Those things are fair after last year, and I'm not even trying to hate. I like Jalen Hurts, but wasn't his best season.
I was going to say, specifically with the Detroit Lions, and I think a lot of teams do this. There's some teams that look at the talent. The Lions are looking at an overall fit, both philosophy-wise as well as team-wise, that chemistry. And that's something that they stress with Jared Goff is that, no, we believe this is the guy that can do everything we would ask a quarterback to do. In that world, that's the number 1 quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Yeah. And has he proven it? We've seen this team get better and better and better year after year after year with Goff at the helm. It didn't start off necessarily the best, but you're talking about a team that has to continue to build, continue to put players out there that he can build chemistry with and depend on. That's something that does startle me just a little bit as it relates to these pass catchers next year. Josh Reynolds was very dependable. We need to know that Jameson Williams, who I thought that he showed a little bit of dependability in the playoffs. There were some passes that, especially I believe it was the 49ers game, the bomb down the field. If he could have located that, we're talking about a whole lot of different plays. I believe it was in the 49ers game. It was a bomb, and it was just kind of through his hands.
Yeah.
So that does concern me just a little bit. I'm hoping that the chemistry that they're able to develop this offseason, and like I said, Jamison Williams, DPJ, you guys need to be wherever Jared Goff is. Santa Clara, I don't care where he is. If he's in Alaska, go and lock yourself in a training facility with Jared Goff. Become dependable receivers that he has that ultimate comfortability with, man.
Hey, imagine if Donovan Peoples-Jones actually gets that comfortability with Goff and becomes reliable. He's more talented than Josh Reynolds.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
He's had higher highs in the NFL than Josh Reynolds has. I mean, last season, as I said, he had 155 receiving yards. You can give all of the reasons for that or the caveats or the excuses. That's not a good season. He would have been mortified if he knew those were going to be his numbers. So he's looking to have a bounce-back season. And, of course, Jamison Williams, I mean, he's got to – I'm not saying that he necessarily has to live up to the hype for the Lions to be successful, but it would certainly, I would say, behoove him, and it would behoove him, at least from the wrath of old Flannel Sam, to do such.
I love it. I love it. The wrath of Flannel Sam.
No, because when it comes to Jamison Williams, like, I'm not saying that he's lived up to the hype, but I could also say that he made a lot of plays at the end of the season that contributed to winning. He had a couple of games in which he moonlighted a bit as a reliable-ish possession receiver. I just want to put more games together where it's not just like one deep shot and nothing else or a couple of short passes and nothing else. I want to see that first 100-yard game in the NFL.
Yeah, listen, my question to you all as well, because I think there was a lot built as it relates to Jahmyr Gibbs and to Jamison Williams. One, do you guys expect the Detroit Lions, and I don't know if this is more appropriate for you as well, but do you expect the Detroit Lions to get them more involved both in the pass catching and in the running? Because it seemed like when Jahmyr Gibbs is able to catch that kind of short pass, he's able to break it for some yards, especially when the defense falls asleep and forgets. After his chip block out the backfield, he does his cutback. He's wide open in the middle of the field. You talking about speed and absolute space with Jahmyr Gibbs and then Jamison Williams. I saw someone bring it up in the chat as well. That run against the 49ers, if we're going to talk about the pass he missed, we got to talk about the good he had. That touchdown to end the game, that catch, but as well as that run. Do you expect this to happen? Because I believe that that's the next evolution in the Detroit Lions offense.
That's a great question, Kool-Aid. I think it's one that we're going to answer when we get back from break.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, JB, who are we going to tell? Well, who are we going to tell them about right now? Guardian Alarm. Hey, listen, guys. We talking about the offense, but one thing I know that the Detroit Lions are working on is the defense. I know where they can go to get some defense, man. That is Guardian Alarm. They are here to help you. It is technology backed by people. You want to talk about being able to call them and get somebody on the phone? I'm not talking about just like having kind of Rosie, the AI operator, talking to you and you have to keep pressing 00000. No. Guardian Alarm, it's real people to help you in real ways. It's your local security experts. And whenever you need to get a hold of them, call 1-800-STAY-OUT. Once again, that number is 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Buying your first Feldman Chevrolet is much more than buying the car that will get you from point A to point B. It's a place for first memories, some big, some small. As she grows, you're not just buying her a Chevy, you're buying into a Feldman family. With more than 700,000 vehicles sold, from generation to generation, Feldman just keeps rolling.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Let me tell you about the Shake Shack Chicken Shack sandwich. You can get it for free You just got to go use code Woodward at any Shake Shack location, online, download the app, put in code Woodward, spend $10. That's a milkshake. That's some crispy crinkle fries. That's anything you want on that Shake Shack menu. They got some delicious burgers. They got some delicious stuff. You know what I like the most about them? You can actually put well done on your burger so they really crisp that bad boy up. So again, code word Woodward, spend $10, and you get a free Chicken Shack sandwich from Shake Shack. Go do it.
The legend, Mr. Darren McCarty, and you decked out in the Tigers gear. How's it feeling today,
This is a national holiday. I know it on Big D Energy. We claim this Spencer Raxter Day. But downtown in the D, it doesn't get any better than this. Obviously, right, what are we, in the high 30s? So this is apropos for an opening day, but it doesn't change the atmosphere, the people, the city popping. This is an absolute event that I remember 30 years ago, well, not quite 30 years ago, but I remember, my first couple years here riding our Harleys down to Tiger Stadium on the cold mornings. So this is definitely a holiday in the D. Happy to be down here with Big D Energy outside the Opera. We got a lot of stuff going on, whether you're going to the game or not. And how about those Tigers, 5-1?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, give me your game prediction for today.
Well, you're shooting us a little early because my Tarek Skubal jersey has not arrived. I'm hoping it'll be here before game time. But we gotta win home opener, obviously take advantage. The boys are rolling. Tough one to lose yesterday, but Skubal's on the mound, and he's going to throw a gem.
Let's go. You guys heard it here first. Darren McCarty, the legend, Detroit Red Wings, but he's decked out in the Tigers gear. The Skubal jersey's on the way. Let's go, Detroit Tigers, opening day. Let's go.
Hey, what up, though, people? Welcome back to Wake Up Woodward. Shout out to the legend, man, Detroit Red Wings legend, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, Darren McCarty. He will be in the building at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi for Big D Energy, which is on today from 11 to 1. You guys want to tap in as well. Hopefully they respond to some of the things you said this morning. But Feldman, man, it's Michigan's #1 Chevy dealership. Chat family, as always, you guys are a very big part and important part of this show, so definitely smash that like button if you have. Encourage somebody else to do the same. And shout out to our 5 KGs not on the show today. Well, actually, JB made sure he was included today, which was epic doing the merch read. If y'all missed that, it was brilliant, JB. It was brilliant, man. Shout out to Mr. Matt Broder. Shout out to Flannel Sam. It's your boy Detroit Kool-Aid. But we had a question on the table as it relates to J-Mo and Jahmyr Gibbs as offensive weapons. What are your expectations next season as it relates to that?
Breakout. Both of them. Both of them. These are supposed to be two massive parts to this offense. Not just mismatches, but actually game changers, both out of the backfield and catching the ball. And I mean that for both of them. I want to see more Jamison Williams get the ball on end rounds, get the ball on short, not even intermediate routes. Just get the ball in his hands and let his speed and athleticism do the work. Same thing for Jahmyr Gibbs. We were surprised how much he was running in between the tackles, but he could really do it all on the field. We didn't see his peak performance as a receiver. We were just chatting in the chat with Matthew Kruger. Both Gibbs and Montgomery had some I don't know if they're big drops. Some of them are big drops. Montgomery in that Saints game. Gibbs had the fumble in the 49ers game. But they had a few drops out of the backfield. I want to see Gibbs more out of the slot. I want to see that mismatch freak that we were all expecting when Ben Johnson was teasing what they're going to do with Jahmyr Gibbs at the start of last year. It took him a little while to get Gibbs involved more in the offense, and once he did, once that Monday Night Football against the Raiders game hit and he really showed the world what he was capable of, I expect such big things out of both of them this year.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Jahmyr Gibbs because I haven't always been accurate on my running back takes. I understand that. I understand you can throw all the slings and arrows you want at me, especially for the DeAndre Swift one.
I love Swift.
However, when it's all said and done at the end of next season, the best running backs in the NFL will be, in no particular order, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs can be the best running back in the NFL. What I saw last year, especially after that Raiders game, was a guy who can carry the ball 20 yards a game, who can run between the tackles, who has more power, who has great vision, and when he bounces it out, he's gone. We understand that maybe as a pass-catching weapon, he wasn't maybe what he was sold to be, but he more than made up for it by the fact that he's just a damn good running back.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I think could be a perennial 1,000-yard rusher. He's not somebody who necessarily has to, be that guy who catches the rock as much as like a Christian McCaffrey does. As long as he keeps running the ball effectively, I'm cool with it. And I think next year he gets at least 1,100, 1,200 rushing yards and receiving yards. I'm not in the business of predicting that yet, but we'll see as the season gets closer. As far as Jameson Williams, I would like to see. It's funny because every time he does one of those end-around type plays, I think a lot of us just wonder, and I know nobody's questioning Ben Johnson, and nobody quite understands the intricacies of running an offense like Ben Johnson. But don't we all kind of think, why don't they do this at least once a game?
Bro, I can't even remember a time that it failed. I'm sure it has, but every time I can think of Jameson Williams running the ball or getting one of those end arounds, it seems like it has worked out masterfully for the Lions.
I would say if I'm giving Jameson Williams expectations, it's tough because I don't expect him to be a guy who catches even 70 passes, which is fine. This isn't like a knock. This isn't me lowering expectations. I expect with Jameson Williams to kind of do whatever is asked of him that day. And one of the things that I would like to see is just more explosive plays. Throw the ball downfield. Maybe get him on some end arounds. Maybe try some maybe like crossing routes that can get him in space to where he can just blow by a defender and be gone. You saw him do that a lot at Alabama. He showed what he's capable of in short spurts last year. I would just like to see more of it. I'm not going to put a numbers prediction on Jameson Williams. I would just say from week 1 on, I want him to be one of the most valuable players of this offense and probably the most in terms of explosive on like a per touch basis. I think that's pretty reasonable for J-Mo coming into next year.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? I kind of like the way that you leaned into your answer. It was more or less like you do believe that they can be these kind of all-around offensive weapons, both running and catching it, but you want to see them have success in their defined positions as well. With J-Mo proving to be somebody who has a little bit more power than I don't know what others expected, but he had a lot more power than I expected. It was tough for defenders to just tackle him. A lot of times you see defenders pushing him more out of bounds on the line, and he's still standing. I remember the one play, I forget the team, but he rushed into the end zone. The defender was like hanging on him, and he just took him and threw him with one hand. I'm just like, okay. This is Jahmyr Gibbs.
That was none other than Antoine Winfield Jr.,
yes.
maybe the best safety in the NFL in the playoffs. I mean, doing that to Antoine Winfield Jr. is just, that's kind of like an I'm him moment. He didn't even have to do that. He already scored, but he ragdolled Antoine Winfield Jr.
Did you see the close-up picture?
Yes.
He looks right into the camera like he's staring right into the camera while he did it. Like that type of gamesmanship, because Jahmyr Gibbs always struck me as kind of this quiet, reserved player. Then I realized, he's all the way here for the petty to make sure people know I have arrived. I would too, especially after kind of the start to the season.
Yeah, but what does that tell you, though? That I know when he was drafted, and full disclosure, I was not a fan of it. I had some questions about him early on into the season, but I ended up looking real foolish because now I'm all on the Jahmyr Gibbs train. But one of the things that was talked about him, which I think Gibbs throwing Antoine Winfield basically like a ragdoll after he scored that touchdown is symbolic of debunking. I heard the term scatback a lot when it came to Jahmyr Gibbs. And when you hear scatback, you're kind of like, Scatback at number 12 overall. I don't know about that. But as he showed throughout the season as it went along, he is a really good running back. He was drafted number 12 overall for a reason. He can be the best running back in the league this season. I think it'll be him and Bijan for the next 3 or so years once Christian McCaffrey falls off. I really do.
Yeah, and I want to be able to get Broder in on this as well, especially with about the Jahmyr Gibbs. Eric Allen said Gibbs is most certainly a between the tackles runner. He's not swift trying to bounce everything outside. Go watch the tape. I guess he's talking to Apollo. I'll see a couple other people here too. Vincent E. Gibbs showed a lot more power running the rock than people expected. 100%. Broder. These offensive weapons, or do you want to see them lean? Because I know you answered a little bit, but what do you think about what they're going to do in their respective positions?
I was just blown away by Ninja Jinja talking about Bryce Young is more accurate than Jared Goff.
Oh.
I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a slappy, but I have to bring that up and defend him.
Hey, talk about it.
Slappy Broder saying that Jared Goff is more accurate than Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yikes.
That's a rough one. You might want to sit this one out, bud. That's bad.
Yeah, but I think we need to start looking at this team specifically, and the NFL is headed this direction anyway, but not necessarily positionless football, but like the NFL nowadays, it's all about matchups. It's all about finding the biggest mismatches you can get your offense into against your opponent's defense, and that's what both Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs do. That's what Khalif Raymond does. That's what Amon-Ra St. Brown does with his skill set. It creates mismatches with either linebackers that he's quicker than or cornerbacks that he's stronger than. So and we're going to have the wide receiver in the draft conversation tomorrow, but that's where you look at this roster and you think, yeah, in a true traditional X wide receiver, Xavier Legette type, who I really like, by the way, but going and getting that big body receiver to create that mismatch on the outside, that is a direction that the Lions could go. But I don't want to take the concept of like a Ladd McConkey, a Roman Wilson, even what's his name, Jacob Browning, even another smaller receiver, how Ben Johnson can scheme this offense up to just get these guys into mismatches. I know Wilson. if you bring up Ladd McConkey, the biggest response you get is he's too similar to Amon-Ra St. Brown. When did that become a bad thing, having too many Amon-Ra St. Browns on? And I say that with a little bit of sarcasm, but you have a guy that can run routes like that, who's reliable, who has hands, and can just create a mismatch on whether he's going up against a slot corner, against a linebacker, or a guy on the outside. It's the same type of mismatches that a guy like Amon-Ra can do. In fact, Ladd McConkey can play the outside more than you think. That's just one example, but the key in this draft moving forward, what Ben Johnson wants to do with the Lions now and whatever team he's the head coach of in the future, it's creating mismatches. That's it.
It's the Calvin Johnson effect, I believe. I believe as Detroit Lions fans, we haven't had a lot of wins to cheer about, but we did have Calvin Johnson to root for and Matthew Stafford throwing the rock to him deep. And I think that we got very comfortable with that being the image of a wide receiver, to the point that when we see an Amon-Ra St. Brown, we still have a lot of people who believe, and I do, there's definitely something positive, and that can help this offense when you have a deep down the field threat. It just is. I'm not going to lie about that at all, or even try to sugarcoat that. But I also believe when you kind of look at what this offense can do and what it can put together, hopefully Jamison Williams can be that type of a down-the-field threat. But if you have another player that is kind of shifty, runs routes very, very crisp, that is sure-handed, that is dependable, and can absolutely do work the way that Amon-Ra St. Brown has done, I'm not necessarily complaining about that.
So are we talking Amon-Ra St. Brown, Roman Wilson?
There we go.
Hey, but to your point, Broder, I think Ladd McConkey gets stereotyped a little bit, and you've kind of turned me on to him more than I was before. Ladd McConkey plays much more wide than even Roman Wilson did. And people don't know that or understand that, but it's true. I'm not saying, pick for a Ladd McConkey if he's available at 29.
What about Roman Wilson?
No, I can't. I can't. It's weird when you're not really married to a name because you don't have a ton of needs. But my point is that Ladd McConkey, Roman Wilson, it's on the table for this Lions team. I'm not saying it's what I would do, but
29 might be too early for them. Like it might just not be the right time for them to invest in one of those players. But the point of finding a player, you could take it to defense too, but finding a player that creates a mismatch. That's why Darius Robinson from Mizzou is getting so loved. It might not be the right fit. Lions fans maybe think it's a little too close to Josh Paschal, a guy who can play inside out, not like super special at either, but is going to be productive. That's a mismatch. That's why they like the Josh Paschal's type, whether that's their long-term guy or Darius Robinson versus a Chop Robinson who you're going to put out on the edge. His upside is just go attack the quarterback from the edge. This is all a chess game. This is why Ben Johnson is so good. It's why Dane Campbell putting these guys around him. This team, there are more. We talked about the Eagles, maybe more talented. Maybe have that track record, but not many of us would pick them if we're building a team right now. Like you try to plan on covering St. Brown and Laporta and JMO and DPJ and Khalif and Gibbs and Montgomery. I wouldn't want to be a DC in today's NFL, especially with the new rules.
Good luck.
Yeah, and I'll read a couple of these couple of comments from the chat before we get into our next segment. It's pretty electrifying. But Mid-Made actually said Roman gets separation better than most. Separation is key for a quarterback like Jared Goff. Speak Easy Sports. Shout out to Easy, one of the hosts of the Heavyweights. He said, Lad and Amon-Ra fit. He said, Lad is Super Saiyan Josh Reynolds.
Boom.
I actually like that. I like that, man. I like that a lot, man.
Easy's not wrong. You have to look a little deeper into the film and into the numbers to realize. I think Lad McConkey gets that sort of white guy slot stereotype, and which we shouldn't do. But I think that plays a role into it. But he is much more of an outside receiver than you think.
Yeah.
I even had to dig a little bit deeper to find that out.
Denver Blair said he was sold at Super Saiyan. Where we going to next, Mr. JB Smooth? Dispo.
Hey, Dispo, the place where you need to go if you need to get high. And
It's our dealer of the year.
Yes, hey, and just enjoy a little bit of the good times, maybe numb some pain after the Tigers' 3-game losing streak, which hopefully they snap this afternoon. They'll be starting while BDE is on air, and they'll be finishing off while Armani and Edwards with Maz is on air, so watch between the both. But the point is with this, you can go to Dispo, go to that cannabis mall in Romeo, which is one of the most immaculate places I've ever been in inside, and I don't even partake. It's just a really cool place with the best people. They've been great sponsors for us, and they have pretty much every single cannabis product that you can ever even imagine. So if you partake, go to Dispo. Only frequent Dispo when it's for your cannabis needs. It's Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? You should see what I did there. Go Red Wings! From Octopi experts, Woodward Sports.
Buying your first Feldman Chevrolet is much more than buying the car that will get you from point A to point B. It's a place for first memories, some big, some small. As she grows, you're not just buying her a Chevy, you're buying into a Feldman family. With more than 700,000 vehicles sold, from generation to generation, Feldman just keeps rolling.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
About Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza. Let me tell you, they're popping up all over Metro Detroit, and this food is delicious. They got pizza, New York style. They got wings. They got salads. They got freshly made salads, hand-tossed salads. They really have it all. Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza, it's the place you're going to want to try, especially when you're tailgating with all your friends. I know the college basketball tournament's over, but the draft is coming up. You want to get some Soroki's for this NFL draft. It will keep you hungry. The food is delicious. Check them out at Sorokis.com. That's Sarokis.com. Soroki's in Woodward Sports, that's crispy.
How's the energy today in the city?
It's electric in Detroit. Come on now.
Insane. I love it down here, man.
Opening day in the D. Come on.
Let's go. Hey, tell the people what you expect from these Detroit Tigers today.
We're expecting a W. Oh, yeah. Come on. Tarek Skubal, 7 innings.
Oh, yeah.
At least 8 strikeouts. Come on.
Yep.
We're expecting a win.
Let's go Tigers. Let's get a win, baby.
Let's go. And look. What's the jerseys? You got to show the people. Let's go.
Hey, what up, though, people? Welcome back. Thank you for kicking off your day with the Wake Up Woodward crew. It's been a good day here. You know what? We're live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. And you know what? You know who our #1 dealer is? That's Mr. Flannel Sam over here in the flannel. They got him right in front of the Dealer of the Year sign. It's so fitting. It's so appropriate.
Is that a good thing or bad? What kind of what kind of dealer am I?
You know what? We'll leave that to the chat to decide. Chat family, you know what? We're going to jump into our mailbag segment. Definitely put in the chat what type of dealer you believe Flannel Sam is. That's going to be a good one, man. I really hope that the chat family doesn't disappoint. But as always, you guys are a very important part of this show. Smash that like button if you already have. Encourage someone else to do the same. Mr. Matthew Broder, what's good, brother?
I got something to share with you guys. Some Lions news per Dave Burkett.
Oh.
It's fantastic writer for the Detroit Free Press. Missouri edge rusher Darius Robinson will be at the Detroit Lions local pro day today. This is per Dave Burkett.
That's fitting.
Yep, there are some other names that are going to be there that include Michigan defensive back Mikey Sanders still and wide receiver Roman Wilson.
Hey.
Oh. These are all names that we broke down on the show. It's pretty interesting to see the Detroit Lions, make sure those guys are represented and present. This is going to be pretty cool.
And the thing is, too, none of those three are what I would call my first choice at 29, but you could definitely make an argument that all of them would tremendously help this team right away. So
yeah.
I definitely, especially Darius Robinson with his versatility, and last year he really took off as an edge rusher, and he hasn't even been playing that position very long. Maybe he could even get better as he comes into the pros.
Yeah, and what I noticed about that, and I literally just saw Dave Burkett's tweet, but it doesn't look like they're officially top 30 visits. It's their Detroit Lions local pro day, so I don't know if that counts for anything, if this, removes that from one. But all three of those are super high character guys that maybe they know already they don't need to waste a top 30 visit on, or this sort of supplements that, to be determined. But those are all three football players.
Yep.
Those are football guys.
100%.
Definitely. I'm over here chuckling, yo, because the freaking chat is not disappointed right now. Steve DeYoung said flannel is a Flintstone vitamin dealer.
I used to take those when I was a kid.
No, I'm seeing a couple of these in here. Michael Daniel, flannel is a stat dealer.
That's facts. I like that one. Xavier D, flannel, dealer of dry white toast. Hey, I'm a very kind of vanilla guy, but that's all right. That's all right.
Some of these I just want to read, and I'm like, wait. You got to make sure you know what these say.
We're in
first.
public. We're in public today, just in case. But I like this. If Flannel's opening his trench coat, what's inside? What are the little trinkets or things that you're selling? Sounds
The
like
little
Wonder Bread. Sam Flannel Wonder Bread with Vanilla Vic, Jared Goff.
I like that. Some stat notes. Here, take my notes.
Take my notes.
That's a good idea. Hey, data is the new currency these days, they say. How about this question? Actually, I had saved this from Eduardo earlier. And by the way, get your mailbag questions in. We're going to just answer questions for the rest of the show, these next 8-9 minutes. But Eduardo had asked earlier, and I think you just sort of rephrased it.
Yeah.
Would you rather make Laporta the highest paid tight end, or Amon-Ra, in parentheses, who isn't a deep threat, make Tyreek Hill money, so $30+ million? Interpret as you please, because there's some timing that could, change things in there. But, interpret as you please.
That is tough. And is it bad that I'm leaning towards Sam Laporta?
No, because
that's a tough one, man.
Remember, Dan Campbell's the head coach. There's odd value. Not odd. There's some extra value on this team for the tight end position. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is the face of your franchise, if not Penei Sewell, Hutch.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good question.
I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's, as I said before, he's as valuable to his team as anybody in the NFL in terms of the wide receiver position. But Tyreek Hill is just he's one of the greatest weapons the NFL has ever seen.
Yeah.
But he's also kind of a dick. He's got a lot of off-field
kids
stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff.
A lot of offspring.
A lot of accusations and whatnot. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is definitely a high character kind of guy. I'm not saying that tips the scales completely, but damn, that's
a good one.
That's a tough question.
How about this? Herb Nash. Every time I do a mock draft, JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Nate Wiggins, along with Keon Coleman, are all available at 29. Who you taking of those four?
Jackson Powers Johnson. And I'm not looking back. And
JPJ.
I think we've got our starting guard or center of the future. which we're going to need because Frank Ragnow, how many years does he have left? Kevin Zeitler's on a 1-year contract. JPJ and you teleport. You teleport up and hand in that card.
The Lions do have good luck drafting offensive linemen from Oregon.
The best of luck.
The best.
The best of luck.
Even Maz agrees with that now. He agreed on Armani and Edwards yesterday. Today, he's taking Penei Sewell over Micah Parsons. It took Stick 3 years to get him to admit that.
That's big news.
That's big.
And did you guys catch those rumors of Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys potentially having some issues right now?
Yeah.
In terms of the type of locker room guy that he is? Not a Brad Holmes guy.
Saying he's wearing thin on some people within the organization?
Yeah. Yep, I saw that yesterday.
Yeah, here's the thing. When people talk about Penei Sewell, who was the right pick, by the way, I've never disagreed. I also want people to remember just how great Micah Parsons is. In his first 3 seasons, he's been second in Defensive Player of the Year, second, and then third. He's a future Gold Jacket guy as well, but Penei Sewell was ours. Penei Sewell has become the best offensive lineman in the NFL on the best offensive line in the NFL. So shout out to Penei Sewell, but there were a couple of good choices to be had at that pick.
I see Big Con 51. He says, which Robinson at 29, Chop or Darius?
Whew, that's
Chop.
A great question.
I would go Chop just because of the edge rushing upside. With Darius Robinson, I like him a lot. Do I see a little bit of a slightly better Josh Pascal? Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. I just don't know if there's that like star potential. But at the same time, do you really need that on this defensive line, or would you rather have the versatility? I would go Chop, but I wouldn't be mad at Darius either.
If you threw Jerzon Newton into that mix, would it stay the same for the same reasons?
Yeah, shout out Steve Dion.
Because I would agree with you because they signed DJ Reader.
Yeah.
Not that you can't double up and go for another defensive tackle or hybrid, but the fact that you solidified that defensive line where I feel comfortable with it. Now you go for that high upside player. And I don't know if there's anyone in this draft class who has more higher upside than Chop.
Even Dallas Turner. And I will die on that hill. Chop Robinson could have the highest upside of defensive ends, period.
Turner's got a much higher floor. He's already there. His floor, he's pretty secure where he's going to be, but Chop Robinson has a higher floor than Dallas Turner.
I would say that Jared Verse probably has the highest floor out of all of them, but as far as upside, Chop Robinson, I would say that. And yeah, you mentioned about solidifying that defensive line. You have your starters right now, especially if the edge position opposite Hutch, you can factor in Marcus Davenport and James Houston. And then even some depth pieces like John Kaminsky as a backup, I don't necessarily hate. So,
good point.
Swing for the fences.
Yeah. That's a great point, man. Is there any more?
Yeah, I got one. It's from Eduardo again. He's got a ton of great ones in here.
Hey.
So everyone keep getting your questions in. We'll read them. But Eduardo asks, mailbag, who can the Lions either trade up for or pick at 29 that will have you walk out the room? So excluding a quarterback or a running back, who are they taking that you're like?
Oh, walk out the way that Braylon Edwards
Yeah,
walked
Jack
out.
Campbell. That you're Jack Campbelling. You're Brayloning to Jack.
I will answer first. Nobody. There is not one person that could make me do that because the Lions don't really have any glaring needs. It's basically a free roll. I could either be very happy or I could pretty much justify anything outside, like you said, like a quarterback or a running back or something like that. I would say nobody. Any you guys have anybody who would just make you really upset?
What I was going to say is, even if they took a stretch on somebody, right? Say if they did say, you know what, we really like Roman Wilson. His pro day with the Lions was epic. We think that he can be that sure-handed, sure route-running type receiver and complement Amon-Ra very well. We're just going to take him at 29 because we think maybe somebody will take him in the second round before we get to pick again. It would be like, whoa, what is going on? But I feel like we did that already with Brad Holmes. And for a lot of people, especially with the Jahmyr Gibbs pick, that was something that a lot of people just got wrong when we look at how it played out. So would there be some, questions? Yeah, but would I walk out the room over anything that Brad Holmes does? At this point in time, I think that would be very, very premature.
I happen to agree with you guys, but to throw a little a wrench in it, I think Xavier Worthy, wide receiver out of Texas, he's a stud. He's fast. I think he would be a reach at 29, and I think Jamo/Khalif kind of take that speed weapon. They have that role already on the offense. You don't need another guy who's just straight line speed.
I don't hate that.
But again, if they do, if Brad Holmes has a reason for picking him, like you said, I'm really not gonna walk out the room. I'm so into either Ladd McConkey or Roman Wilson, or if you can get a Brian Thomas and Adonai Mitchell, the top 3 guys aren't gonna fall.
Yeah. And it's not even to me just about like blind trust in Brad Holmes. It's about you have your starters.
Yeah.
Barring injury, of course. Even on the defensive side of the ball, you have your starters.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that maybe one could be drafted and can overtake a spot or something like that, but in your previous few drafts, the Lions have been drafting because you needed certain players. You needed guys to fill certain roles. I know that wasn't always the thought process, but that's what happened. This year, it's like, where is a starting spot to be had?
Yeah.
Maybe a corner, maybe opposite Hutch, but even that, like, I like Marcus Davenport and James Houston as a combination fine. Maybe
especially with Reader.
Yeah, maybe ahead of a Derek Barnes or something like that. But again, those are all that's why to me, even Xavier Worthy, I would agree that he wouldn't be the best fit for a lot of the reasons you mentioned, but I wouldn't be pounding the table or anything. I'd just be like, okay. Speaking of Braylon Edwards.
And you know what? One kind of final question that I have is this. The Detroit Lions have done a lot to address their kind of needs. One that I've continued to kind of talk about, the linebacker position. Do you believe that that's something they need to beef up with more assets as time goes on, or do you guys have faith in what Jack Campbell can be to eventually lead that linebacker room?
I'm not going to lie. There's one guy that I would really love to have later on in the draft, or maybe even in the second round. If they can get Edgerrin Cooper from a Texas A&M, I would definitely make that pick.
That's pick.
Not quite.
Not quite.
However, I would be very happy. That man's a freak.
I actually agree with Santa 100%. He's the only one that I would draft. He's the only one that is probably an immediate upgrade, or at least someone you know is going to be one of your top 2 linebackers by year 2. Like, he is such a freak. And the linebacker isn't a position of need. I think they gave Jalen Reeves-Maben that contract, both because he is the best special teams player in the league. Also, I think they're expecting him to play a little bit more coverage linebacker. So I think they're set in that room, but there will be a time they got to make a decision. They got 2 more years of Anzalone, I think 2 more on Derek Barnes. So these contracts are coming. You got to start tiering those at some point.
I assume that that's going to be something they potentially target in the next draft. But you guys confident and comfortable with Jack Campbell this season?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Hey. He showed me enough, at least as the season went along.
Yeah,
he was always
especially in the playoffs.
He was always a good run defender. And honestly, I think what this year's rookie class told you is that stepping in as a linebacker and playing right away is difficult, especially in the position that he was at. So let's give him another year or 2 before. We can all admit that out of all of the top 48 picks, out of all the 4 of them, that Jack Campbell was the most overwhelming of the 4, but he was still a starter. He still had 95 tackles. I think he has a big season.
I thought he looked good in the playoffs, personally. I really do. I think it looked like he was figuring things out.
You can see this game it started to slow down near the end of the season. I think 1 year under his belt is going to make a huge difference to someone like that who, once the game slows down, people forget Jack Campbell's a freak athlete. Like, he is an incredible athlete. He's going to get better. I should have brought up one name, and maybe this is the direction they go instead of a true linebacker. But James Williams, the safety out of Miami, who's you could see him transitioning to a linebacker. He's kind of a hybrid, one of those versatile secondary guys, but like a safety linebacker type. It's unique, and he may be their 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So there's one there. But, hey, I think that'll do it for the day. Kool-Aid, Sam, JB, Feldman.
Hey, let's break this thing down.
Let's do it.
Thank you guys, as always, for kicking off your day with the Wake Up Woodward crew. We appreciate your support. Hey, I saw we also got over 100 likes. Thank you so much, chat family. If you haven't hit that like button, definitely make sure you do on the way out. Shout out to KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick. He will be hoping back with us tomorrow. And shout out to Woodward Sports' MVP, Mr. J.B. Smooth, in the TD space, I guess we say, huh?
Yes.
Hey. It's still brilliant, man, getting KG involved today during that merch read, man. Shout out to Matthew Broder, our Detroit Lions and Tigers beat writer and beat reporter. We got the vet of the squad, man, the dealer of the year, Mr. Breaking Bad himself. We got Flannel Sam, and the people want a customized Woodward Sports flannel. I don't know why we don't have that up on the Woodward shop yet.
That's something I should probably be more proactive about, but coming soon. If I have anything to say about it, it'll be coming soon.
Hey, have something to say about it. You're the dealer of the year.
That's facts.
Let's rock, man. It's your boy, Detroit Kool-Aid, man. Your Pistons credentialed beat writer and beat reporter. We have been live at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It is Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer. Big D Energy is broadcasting next. Darren McCarty will be in the building. Neil Rule will be in the building. And I'm hoping that they heard what you had to say this morning. If not, I'm definitely going to be clipping some stuff and sending it.
Hey.
But thank you guys for supporting. Like we said, get down here. You want to get you a Chevy. You want to get you a Camaro. You want to get a Corvette. Get down here. Get down. I'm telling you, because Broder and my car, they already got rid of it, man. They already sold it. These things are flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
Get down here, people.
Get down here.
Hey. Thank you guys for supporting Wake Up Woodward, man. Have a blessed day.